Yeah. This next one from New Spurs Order. Oh, God. Here we go again. Tanguy Ndombele was a better player, overall ability only, than Moussa Dembele.
It's a big shout. Did Tanguy Ndombele have more ability than Moussa Dembele? Overall.
I'll let you answer that one.
I think there's a case for it.
I hate the term ability only, though, because, like,
Ability only.
there's ability, and what's the point of having ability if you can't show it on a pitch?
It's like saying Adel Taarabt had more ability than like Odegaard or something.
Yeah,
Might be true.
like the whole thing that they were going on in Manchester United, like Ravel Morrison had more ability than all their class of 92, whatever it was, whatever the argument was at the time. I can't remember compared to which players, but some players have the mentality to go and do it consistently week in, week out on a football pitch, and the others, don't have the bottle to do it.
The reason I actually don't agree with this is because I actually don't think that Dembele was the hardest worker himself. Like, I don't think he was lazy, but I think Dembele could have become a much better player if he didn't seem to me, Dembele, like a guy who's obsessed with football. He seemed like a very chill guy. He seemed like a guy who just had unbelievable natural ability, like strength and balance and all these different things. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure he worked hard and stuff like that, but he just seemed like a guy who relied on his natural traits rather than relied on improving himself and adding things to his game. So I think if he would have done that, he would have been a far better player than he even was, and he was an unbelievable player. So the reason I actually don't agree with that is because I don't think Dembele himself was even the hardest worker.
But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. He had a kind of like nonchalant attitude on the pitch and off the pitch, but at least he had standards. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm. Yeah, that's
what Ndombele
had
no standards whatsoever. And just to see where his career's gone as well since leaving Tottenham, because everyone's like, yeah, Ndombele is going to go somewhere and cook. Everywhere he's gone, he's been chased out the door. He's been at Nice this year, and like second half of the season, he's barely got minutes. Like, the guy is an absolute disgrace to football. He really is. Yeah,
but I think in terms of the point he's trying to make, like, his natural ability is better than Moussa Dembele. I understand the point he's making, but I disagree, because I'm guessing the point he's making is that Ndombele had tons of natural ability, but because he doesn't put the work in, he never filled that potential. But my point is, I think the Dembele we saw was him also not fulfilling his potential, but his kind of
the gap is a bit different.
Exactly, yeah. But his floor was that high that even him not fulfilling his potential was that much a better player. So that's why I disagree with it.
Yeah. Pro Tottenham says Kinsky will be our number one before the end of the season. There's a case for it.
That's what I've been saying.
There's definitely a case for it. I mean, it's all on both of them to see what they... I mean, Kinsky will be the cup keeper only, and he needs those games to prove to Frank that, he can do it and he can get a lot better in terms of his shot stopping. And it's up to Vicario as well, like under Frank's training at Hotspur Way and stuff like that, to show that he can get better at his playing out the back and with the ball at his feet.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't rule out Kinsky becoming the number one. If Vicario goes through a period during the season where he's making lots of mistakes, and whether it be playing at the back or whatever, like he was at the back end of last season, and then he gives Kinsky a go, I can see Kinsky keeping that spot, and then it's going to be difficult for Vicario, especially if Kinsky really improves that shot stopping ability, which I think at some points last season he was found wanting a bit. But apart from the shot stopping, I think coming for set pieces and stuff, I think he was pretty decent. Obviously coming out of his box and playing at the back, I think he's probably better than Vicario. I think he's braver than Vicario when he comes for set pieces, and I also think he's braver, and I think obviously from his passing ability he's got much better passing range than Vicario. And as I say, Vicario, as much as he's actually not terrible for a goalkeeper on the ball, he still plays like he's a goalkeeper playing out the back. Kinsky plays it more like he's an actual outfielder. The passes he makes is like you'd see an outfielder make, and that is the difference. So if that is going to be a big way of how we play and build up, I think Kinsky's got a big shout of being a number one.
Do you think it'll be this season, though? Or do you reckon this season might come a bit too early for Kinsky?
I think come the end of the season, it could happen. We've seen it. We've seen it with other keepers. I know it's a different situation. Ramsdale started the season as number one at Arsenal, and then Raya just took his place after he kept making mistakes and he never let go.
But I think the plan was always Raya was brought in as number one.
Right, but Ramsdale started the season, didn't he?
Yeah, because they didn't want to disrespect him. Do you think that's a similar case?
Well,
this?
I don't think if Ramsdale wasn't making those mistakes, would he have just taken him out for no reason? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the plan was always going to be for Raya to be number one at some point during the season. But that's why they brought him in.
That's what we thought for sure when they brought him in. And I'm sure we all said he's an upgrade. But at the end of the day, they kept Ramsdale in goal, and they only really took him out because he was being bad and making mistakes. But if he didn't, I don't know if they would have just taken him out for no reason. But again, for Vicario, it depends if he's making mistakes or not. But I've got a feeling he might start making a few mistakes playing out the back, and if he does, I think Kinsky will be there. I think come the end of this, if I'm going to predict, I reckon come the end of the season, I think Kinsky will be number one come the end of the season.
Mark Pinfield says, Romero leaves on deadline day. No statement signing. The board just expect Frank to work with what we have with the aim to overachieve.
Sakai replacing Romero.
It's not looking beyond all realms of possibility that at this moment in time. It's really not.
Yeah. That's what I am worried about. No statement signings. I am quite worried about the possibility of that happening, which is kind of what I was saying when Frank first came in. Are we going to use Frank's appointment as an excuse to just say, oh, look, he's so good at improving everything. He's got the golden touch. We'll just, whatever we give him, he'll just work with it kind of thing. I'm worried about that possibility.
Are we using Frank as an excuse, or is this just what Tottenham do under every manager?
Yes, but we know that if Andrew's here, that we wouldn't have that excuse. At least, I know we did it anyway when in his first season, but obviously Andrew's was calling for more experience into the team, right?
How long until Frank calls for that?
Yeah, maybe we'll see. I don't know, but Frank's kind of the reason he's been brought in, because what he did so well at Brentford is getting the best out of what he's got, improving players, all these different things. So are the club, going to use that as an excuse to not push about on certain signings and sign younger players and all this kind of stuff? It's not Frank's fault. I'm just saying is the club going to look at it that way? That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating, isn't it? Just so frustrating. Why can't we just act like the big club that they say they are? Why can't they act and say they want to win the Premier League, they want to win the Champions League? Act upon it.
Well, actions speak louder than words.
Davey COYS says, this is a really unpopular one, saying Levy is interested in football.
Yeah, American football.
He's
definitely
interested in American football. He's interested in F1.
Do you reckon he follows American football more than he does the Premier League?
I don't even think he knows one American football team's name. He probably just looks at all of them as dollar signs in his eyes. But yeah, he's interested in events, properties, hotels, apartment blocks. He's pretty much interested in everything apart from football.
Yeah, he's interested in football money. Money in football. That's what he's interested in.
Gaelic says, Son is more of a Spurs legend than Kane. No debate. Yeah, I don't think that's unpopular anymore. I think that is 100% true. Sonny is a much bigger legend for Tottenham than Kane was.
Yep. He won a trophy, was our captain when we won the trophy. He's also one of the top 5 goal scorers and top assister in the Premier League as well. So as much as Kane has the overall top goal scorer list, that's not enough to push him over the edge of what Son brings to the table.
Marios says, Mikey Moore will have a better future at Spurs than Tell and Odebear.
I mean, it's not the most unpopular opinion. I mean, it might be true. Might be true. I think Odebear, yes. I think Moore is a good chance that Moore has a better future than Odebear. Tell, I think Tell's got a lot of quality, but yes, obviously show it. But I really believe in Tell. I think Tell's going to have a really good season. I really believe that. But
do you believe in him more than Mikey Moore?
Do I believe in him more than Mikey Moore? I don't think I do. I think Moore might have a better future.
Good. I was hoping you were going to say
Why
that.
Why good? Why not? Huh? Why would it matter if I thought Tell?
Because then we would have to get into a Barney.
I think Tell could, but I think I just lean towards Mikey Moore. I think he's got more to him.
Yeah, he's definitely got more to him.
I don't think definitely. I don't think definitely.
I don't think
definitely.
All right, but I think he does. J_THFC saying Kulu doesn't even start if everyone is fit. Well, it depends what system you're playing. I feel like Kulusevski, if everyone's fit, does start on the right wing for us.
Yeah, I think so as well. Obviously, depending, I think he might look for a bit of like symmetry on like both sides. So like if he's playing a Decky on the right, then he'll play like a Tell or a Son on the left. And if he's playing like on the left, if we've got, I don't know, if we sign a creative player, like let's say we're playing a, I don't know, let's say we did sign an Eze, which we're not going to, or an Ndombele, let's say, on the left, then he'll play like a Johnson on the right. And so it kind of depends what kind of how we're playing. I don't think we're going to have maybe a real first choice 11 for a lot of the season, maybe in the big games. But I think Decky, I think there's a good chance he'll play right wing.
Yeah. MJB Hotspur says Mikey Moore will be the only current academy graduate who's made his debut to make more than 100 Premier League appearances for the first team. I hope there are more, but the step up for the young players is bigger than people think. The other lads will struggle. The other lads will still have good careers. I mean, out of the academy players that have already made their debuts, I mean, there's not been that many. You're talking about Oluseyi, Lancashire, Ajayi, Scarlett. Who else is there?
Has Donnelly made his debut?
No. Yeah, he has actually. Yeah, he came on. He came on.
Yeah, he came on against Man City, didn't he? I guess Donnelly maybe. Keely's never played. But he's not an academy graduate either.
Brandon
Austin. What other? Dorrington. Dorrington played against Southampton, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the 5-0. I doubt he's gonna.
Out of all those players, though, I think the biggest hope. I think George Abbott's made his debut as well, hasn't he? Under Mason.
George Abbott, yeah.
I think out of all those players, the biggest hopes are obviously Mikey Moore and Jamie Donnelly.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think there's a good chance that both those players go on to make 100 appearances for Spurs.
Yeah, I agree. Mikey Moore's definitely got a better chance to do it. But yeah, I think Donnelly's got a good opportunity. It'll be very interesting to see if he sticks around this season. If he does, and then he proves himself, I think he'll definitely do it.
And he sends in another one. No, this is from Gaelic again, saying, Ange was a better manager for us than Poch, but not just winning us the trophy, but with what he had to deal with, playing fantastic football, got effed by injuries, and with all the protests, and of course Levy not putting money on the table when he finished 5th, and he won the trophy.
Well, Poch had to deal with that as well. Levy
to
not
a
putting money
much bigger extent.
Levy not putting the money in.
To a much bigger extent.
But is Ange a bigger legend than Poch?
I think a bigger legend, yes. A better manager, no.
But he's going to be more fondly remembered, you think, than Poch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's the one that won the trophy for us.
I agree. I think as well. But Poch, but you can't underestimate the job Poch did as well.
Poch actually put us on the map, with being up there in terms of title challenges, getting to a final of the Champions League and stuff like that. Something that Ange wasn't able to do. But Ange, at the end of the day, is the only one that brought actual success to this football club in winning a trophy. So I think both of them extremely are going to...
Poch never really took the Europa League seriously, did he?
Nah. I mean, we went out to Ghent under Poch.
We went out to Fiorentina, I remember.
Yeah.
And went out to Dortmund. So, I mean, Dortmund and Fiorentina are decent sides, but obviously going out to Ghent, we should never have done that. That was our best team as well when we lost to Ghent. And we actually played quite a strong team. I think Dele got sent off early on and it kind of ruined our game. But yeah, it kind of felt like whenever we're in that Europa League, because we were always in that top 4 race or higher, we just kind of felt it was an inconvenience, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's... you want to look at everything put together. Like Poch was always fighting at the top of the league, so he could never give up on the league. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if Poch was where we were, and we were in the last 16 or whatever it was in the Europa League, I'm sure Poch would have taken the Europa League a lot more seriously.
Yeah, but he just never did.
Never had the chance to. Yeah.
I mean, I guess chance to, because our squad was never big enough to focus on both. But he could have. He chose not to.
Yeah, because we were fighting at the top of the league.
Sometimes we'll fight for top 4.
Yeah. But Ange never had that. I mean, he had it in the first season when we had no European football. Yeah. But I'm talking about when he had a choice.
Yeah. But, I mean, he could have prioritised the Europa League if he wanted to.
Yeah, he could have. But what I'm saying is the remit of the club back then was to get top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was his goal, not maybe set by him, but set by his bosses in Daniel Levy and everything
I agree
like
with
that. So Ange didn't have that goal to meet because he was sitting in 17th, 16th in the league. If Poch was sitting in 16th, 17th in the league, I'm pretty sure if Poch had the exact same scenario as Ange had, he would have gone for the Europa League as well.
Yeah.
Next up is another one from Gaelic saying Bentancur is our most complete midfielder since Modric and Dembele, but when he's on his day, he's unstoppable. Unfortunately, injuries ruined him a bit, but he'll bounce back stronger. Love Lolo so much. Honestly, try pronouncing my name better, Sim and Ben. Much love from Bosnia.
Most complete midfielder since Modric and Dembele.
Trying to think of the other complete midfielders that we've had since then.
So Dembele left in 2018. Yeah, I mean Højbjerg. I mean that was only a real big signing for a while in midfield.
I guess you can't really count like tens in there. It has to be like a pure
More
central
complete.
midfield.
I guess he's saying complete midfielder. I guess I think you probably make a good point. But it's not a massive selection.
No.
Scott Parker, but obviously he played with Modric. Dembele, 1 minute.
Is he? I think
Bentancur,
Bentancur.
what do you reckon? Bentancur's better than Pete Wanyama?
I mean, they both had different traits, didn't they? Wanyama was a pure destroyer.
I think
in
Pete
the middle of
Wanyama
the
would have taken.
It depends what I mean. In the team that we have now, in terms of wanting a monster six, like you take Wanyama, but
He played a double pivot next to Dembele.
yeah. But the question is complete midfielder
Yeah, but I think when he was that one season, he was pretty complete. Wanyama.
in a specific role? Yeah, like
Yeah,
he
but
couldn't do some of the stuff that Bentancur does on the ball.
I think he could. He was good ball carrier, good passer. Wasn't much of an attacking threat, but he kept things simple on the ball. But he was a decent passer and very press resistant. Can't bully him off the ball. He was so strong. I think Pete Wanyama goes under the radar. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, I guess it was only like for 1 year, so people.
That's the thing. Yeah, it was only for 1 year.
So it's hard to say. Like, was it an off year for him? Was it just injuries that took his toll?
I think it was. I think it clearly was.
We could never get him back to those levels.
No.
Ever. And then he ultimately left and went to the MLS, which told you everything. But
I think because of injuries, yeah. But I think Pete Wanyama, I think Pete Wanyama was better than Bentancur. Even Bentancur is best.
what about just Wanyama in general over the course of his Spurs career?
Yeah,
If
probably
you put
not.
everything into count.
Yeah, but he got absolutely ruined by injuries. Ruined. It was unfortunate. But that one season, him at his best, he was one of the best in the league, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with that being one of the best in the league. I loved Wanyama that season. Was it last year's season at White Hart Lane?
Yeah.
I mean,
he
that
was phenomenal. And he would score the odd goal as well. He'd score headers and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe Wanyama is the only one, but anyone else in that, like, who else is there? There's no one else really.
Harry Winks.
Let's move on to the next one.